In the stirring words of Martin Luther King Jr., "It is not enough to say we are free, we must be free." In 1964, they gained urgency amid unrest. The stark choice between the ballot or the bullet became a resonant refrain, encapsulating the turmoil in a society grappling with deep-seated racial injustices. The civil rights movement, fueled by the blood of countless martyrs, confronted a landscape of segregation and violence. Black Americans faced brutal opposition in their quest for voter registration, battling against systemic oppression woven into the very fabric of American democracy. Amidst this chaos, Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as a beacon of hope, shaped by experiences that transformed him from a young preacher into a pivotal leader. Inspired by Gandhi's principles of nonviolence, he believed love could conquer hate. Yet, as violence against civil rights activists escalated, King recognized the people's growing impatience. The stakes were high. The demands for justice were louder than ever. During the iconic March on Washington, King found himself at a crossroads. Would he continue preaching nonviolence in a world rife with anger? The balance between peaceful protest and the yearning for immediate change shifted dramatically. In this tumultuous climate, King's message of the ballot or the bullet took shape, echoing the urgency of a people ready to reclaim their power and dignity. King understood that silence was no longer an option. With every speech he delivered, the stakes grew higher. "We are at the crossroads of history," he declared, forcing himself and his audience to confront the dangerous path ahead. The choice between engaging in the democratic process or resorting to violence crystallized in the minds of many. King realized that he could no longer separate nonviolence from the imperative for immediate action. The contrast between the ballot and the bullet became the fulcrum upon which the future of civil rights teetered. In the summer of 1964, tension thickened in the air. The Civil Rights Act had just passed, yet systemic racism lingered. King understood that the struggle was far from over. The nation was at a crossroads. The ballot was a tool, but many felt words were inadequate against violence. As King navigated this tumultuous landscape, he amplified the oppressed's voice. Selma, Alabama echoed the cries for justice as thousands marched for voting rights. The streets were filled with people, their faces a tapestry of determination and hope. The sound of marching feet resonated like a heartbeat, a rhythm of resistance against the injustice that had long shackled them. King fought against physical barriers to black voters and against the apathy of those who remained silent. He believed that the right to vote could break the chains of oppression and offer the marginalized a chance to shape their destiny. Facing fierce opposition, including the terror of the Ku Klux Klan, King remained undeterred. He pledged to fight for justice, not with violence, but with the tenacity of a heart willing to endure suffering for truth. In a speech delivered during a blackout of secrecy and fear, he proclaimed, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," a powerful reminder that the fight for equality was not just a local issue, but a national imperative that called for unified action. In March of 1965, King and his followers began a historic march from Selma to Montgomery, a journey that would symbolize the arduous path toward equality. The sun beat down mercilessly on the marchers, but the heat was nothing compared to the fire of determination that burned within them. Yet, as they crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they faced brutal violence from law enforcement, a scene etched into history. The images of bloodied marchers became a turning point, a stark reminder of the price many were willing to pay for their rights. The world watched in horror. The cries for justice grew louder as the struggle became visible. King's resolve intensified after this brutality. He understood that the struggle was not just for the right to vote, it was about dismantling entrenched racism. Every attack on peaceful protesters fueled his determination. "We will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream," he declared, eloquently capturing the spirit of a movement that refused to back down, that demanded change. King brought the plight of African Americans into the living rooms of the nation. Harnessing the power of television, he exposed the brutality faced by his people. Shocking images of innocent men, women, and children beaten by police on that fateful day flooded news broadcasts, igniting empathy among those who had previously turned a blind eye. King framed the narrative of justice through love and nonviolence, creating a powerful contrast between the violence inflicted upon the oppressed and the peaceful resistance being championed by those like himself. Despite the momentum, divisions emerged within the movement. Some advocates embraced a militant stance, frustrated by the slow pace of change, convinced that without violence, progress would be impossible. King navigated these complexities with grace, standing firm in his belief that non-violence was essential for true transformation. Hate begets hate, violence begets violence, he insisted, believing that maintaining moral integrity was the only way to achieve lasting change. He understood that the fight for justice must remain anchored in love, not hatred, for it was love that would ultimately lead them to victory. The choice between the ballot and the bullet was profoundly relevant. King urged that the vote must prevail over violence, as it was the cornerstone of democracy. The winds of change were beginning to blow, gathering strength from the collective movements across America. King's legacy became interwoven with justice itself, demanding that the time to act was now. The struggle for justice was relentless, requiring not only courage to confront injustice but also the strength to endure suffering in the name of progress. As King stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he spoke not just to a crowd of hundreds of thousands, but to history itself. His defining moment crystallized in the fiery urgency of his ballot or the bullet speech. He dissected the chasm between democratic ideals and the brutal realities faced by African Americans. Addressing the simmering rage, King acknowledged the cries for justice that had long been muffled. "Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred," he implored, showcasing his unwavering commitment to peace even in the face of adversity. He argued for the power of the ballot, emphasizing civic engagement over violence. With hope, he envisioned a world where justice was attainable through democracy, where the oppressed could rise as equals, not only in rights but in dignity. Reflecting on King's legacy, one sees its profound impact on modern society. His call for equality transcends time, resonating across generations. Today's fragmented political discourse grapples with issues of race and equity, often echoing the very struggles King faced. The voices that rose during the civil rights movement continue to reverberate, reminding us that the fight is far from over. King's words remind us that the struggle for justice is ongoing, that the choice between the ballot and the bullet remains a contemporary challenge. As we consider King's message, we must ask ourselves, are we willing to confront the injustices we see? Do we recognize the power of our own voices in the struggle for equity? King's life serves as a clarion call for introspection and action, urging us to engage in the democratic process and commit to justice for all. Let us remember that King's path is one of hope and empowerment. Every moment, we can stand up, be heard, and demand justice for every marginalized voice yet to be acknowledged. Let King's words ignite a passionate resolve within us. Let us be the stewards of his dream, ensuring that the fight for justice, equality, and dignity continues.